Hello everyone, welcome back to Jikook Magic. What if a show that was supposed to be full of concepts, cameras, and promotional goals turned into something far more honest, perhaps even too honest to be called mere content? What really happens when Park Jimin and Jeon Jungkook are in the same space, to the point where the world around them seems to fade away? In the episode with Choo Sung-hoon, something felt different from the very first second. It wasn't just ordinary chemistry, nor was it interaction crafted for the camera. It was something deeper, calmer, more personal, and perhaps more real than what we were meant to see. The small glances, the comfortable pauses, the spontaneous reactions that couldn't be faked. All of it formed a pattern that was hard to ignore. And now the question is, was it just a coincidence? Or are we actually witnessing something that can no longer be hidden? The show that brought together Choo Sung-hoon, Park Jimin, and Jeon Jungkook left a strong and almost undeniable impression. In that space, nothing else truly mattered. Not the format of the show, not the cameras, not the promotional purpose, not even the people around them. Everything seemed to fade, losing its role, the moment Jimin and Jungkook were on the same frequency. From the beginning, the atmosphere already felt different. Not relaxed in a performative sense, not a kind of comfort created for the camera, but something genuinely organic. They laughed at simple things, exchanged glances without clear reason, spoke without pressure, as if there were no expectations to fulfill. There was a natural flow, an unforced rhythm. And because of that, everything felt real. There was no need to prove anything because the authenticity spoke for itself. Throughout the episode, one consistent impression emerged. When they are together, it feels like they enter a small world that only they understand. A world where interactions don't need explanation, where pauses don't feel awkward, and even silence carries meaning. This isn't just chemistry in the usual sense. It's a comfort built over time, through shared experiences and a long history together. The dinner moment made everything even clearer. Not because it was dramatic, but precisely because of its simplicity. Jungkook let out a breath, and it wasn't just any breath. It was the kind of breath someone takes when they truly feel safe, when both body and mind can finally relax completely. When asked why, his answer came naturally. He was happy, he was enjoying the moment, and the day felt healing. The word healing is key. It's not a casual expression, but an acknowledgement that being in that moment, in that space with that person, brought a kind of peace that cannot be faked. And this isn't the first time such a pattern has appeared. Every time Jungkook is near Jimin, there is always a subtle yet clear shift. He becomes lighter, more open, more himself. Because of that, it's difficult to accept the narrative that their closeness is merely constructed. If there's one thing this episode shows, it's how impossible it would be to consistently fabricate something this natural. There are small details that feel too spontaneous, too reflexive to be called acting. The conversation about Japan became one of the most interesting moments. It started lightly, just talking about food and the possibility of traveling. But the direction of the conversation shifted subtly when Jimin said it would be nice if they went to Japan. At first, he included Choo Sung-hoon in that idea. But then, a small yet significant shift occurred. Jimin turned directly to Jungkook and, half-joking yet meaningful, said, "What if he just went alone?" The sentence sounded light on the surface. But the way it was delivered, the gaze that accompanied it, the pause that followed changed everything. There was something hanging in the air, something that didn't need to be explained, but could be felt. Japan itself isn't a neutral place for them. It carries history, memories, and accumulated experiences. So when the idea of going together shifted into the possibility of just the two of them, the energy changed as well, from collective to personal, from casual to more intimate. Choo Sung-hoon's reaction strengthened the moment. He didn't question it, didn't interrupt. He simply turned to Jungkook with an expression that seemed to understand the dynamic unfolding. It was the reaction of someone who grasped something without needing an explanation. Subtle, yet revealing. Even the production team seemed to sense the same thing. The on-screen text questioning whether they were flirting wasn't placed there without reason. It reflected what was visible on screen, something strong enough to be highlighted. But what truly reinforced everything were the small details that are easy to miss. Like during a simple game that led to an egg challenge. When Jimin had to do it, Jungkook instinctively took on a protective role. He explained how to crack the egg without it hurting. Something that wasn't asked for, wasn't planned, but came out naturally. This is where the essence of their dynamic becomes most visible. Not in grand, dramatic gestures, but in small, consistent acts of care. In spontaneous reactions that reveal priorities. In concern that doesn't need to be announced because it's already a reflex. Throughout the show, moments like these kept appearing. Glances that lingered just a little longer, smiles that seemed to belong only to them, small interactions that on their own might seem ordinary, but when put together, formed a pattern that couldn't be ignored. They have their own rhythm, a synchronization that quietly runs beneath the surface of the show. And in the end, what remains isn't the details of the show, but the sense of authenticity it leaves behind. This is the kind of moment that doesn't need excessive analysis, because its strength lies in its simplicity. Interestingly, this sense of authenticity doesn't stop at the show. It continues in how larger projects, like BTS documentaries, are discussed by those involved. A message from the director after the premiere offered a perspective that deepened everything. He didn't start with numbers, even though the achievements were remarkable. Entering the top 10 in dozens of countries, ranking highly worldwide, even becoming the #1 documentary globally. All of that was mentioned, but it felt like background. What mattered more was his admission that even a week after release, he was still processing its impact. That wasn't promotional language. That was reflection. He also emphasized that the film wasn't just about the BTS members, but about many people behind the scenes, about collective work and dedication that often goes unseen. But the most powerful part came when he spoke about their humanity. Not BTS's global scale, but who they are as individuals, how they behave, open up, and show vulnerability. When he touched on trust and openness, it hinted at something deeper. That to present something truly honest, it requires the courage to be seen as you really are. And BTS, in this context, gave exactly that. In the end, the most meaningful validation didn't come from numbers, but from the members' own responses, that they felt represented, that they accepted how their story was told. From the show to the documentary, everything points to the same thread: authenticity. In a world filled with scripts, concepts, and carefully controlled images, moments that feel real become rare, and because of that, incredibly valuable. And maybe that's why what happens between Jimin and Jungkook feels so lasting. Not because it's big or dramatic, but because it's simple, consistent, and honest. Not about what they say directly, but about what they show without words. Small, recurring details that slowly form something far more meaningful. And perhaps that's exactly where its strength lies. Something that doesn't need to be over-explained, because it's already powerful enough to be felt. So, what do you think we're really seeing in this moment? Share your thoughts in the comments. And don't forget to subscribe to Jikook Magic for more in-depth analysis that might just make you see everything in a different way.